Of all the Skyblock islands, the Catacombs are the most plentiful source of lore. Whether it talks about the ruins of the castle hub or the interior of the wilderness, you'll always be able to find new information about the Skyblock universe through the lore of the Catacombs. However, an unsolved mystery still remains. Who built the Catacombs? For a section of the game so large, we still don't have any direct explanation on how the ever-changing walls and rooms were created. Nevertheless, I believe that I've found an answer. In today's video, we're going to go through who built the Catacombs and how their creation has impacted the Skyblock timeline. Keep in mind that if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and you can always unsubscribe if you want to. But with that being said, let's jump into it. Let's go back to when the Catacombs were added to the game. On July 7th, 2020, the Catacombs were added to the game in Skyblock patch 0.8. Although I don't need to go over how it impacted the player base, I will go over a brief overview of a lore event that'll be important later on. K-Man, who is the true Wither Lord, was once imprisoned in the wilderness, and Necron freed him. When he escaped, they fled to the bottom of the Skyblock hub and entered a cliff, leading them both into the Catacombs. They then sealed off the cliff to make sure that no one would be able to follow them, and to avoid plot holes. This reveals that the Catacombs are located under the main Skyblock hub. Although this may seem obvious at first, it'll play a major factor when you progress later into the video, so make sure to remember that fact. Anyways, back to the question at hand. To find out who built the Catacombs, we're going to have to find out where the Catacombs originally were, and I don't mean their current location, but the place where they were built. To find out where the Catacombs were created, we'll have to see the blocks they're made out of. However, although the Catacombs have a very clear block palette, it's not really enough to consider where they were originally built. Luckily for me, there are a few singular rooms that give us some monumental hints to their origins. If you look throughout the corners and walls of some of the dungeon rooms, you'll start to notice a block pattern that's eerily similar to that of the Crystal Hollows. If that's not enough, you can also find minecarts and rails scattered throughout the rooms. This is more than enough evidence to prove who built the Catacombs, but that's not all. Would you believe me if I told you that the dungeon hub was originally located in the Crystal Hollows as well? Although it may sound random at first, there's a decent amount of structures found throughout it to back up this observation. First off, there's a section of the island where the walls are reminiscent of the Goblin hideout, and the dilapidated building inside of it are similar to the precursor ruins. There's also tons of crystals that are located throughout the island, which pretty much gives the whole mystery away. Considering the fact that the Catacombs are built in the Crystal Hollows, the only species that could possibly build such a complex system of rooms and tunnels are the dwarves, who have already shown an ability of being able to build machines and complicated structures. However, as all things do, this brings up even more questions. Why did the dwarves build the Catacombs? Why are they now located under the main Skyblock hub? And why have they become the home of the Wither Lord and his minions? Well, in order to answer these questions, we're going to have to uncover another large piece of Skyblock lore. Did you know that the Skyblock islands were once connected to each other? Probably not. Although this has huge implications on what could have happened in the past, it makes perfect sense in the context of this mystery, and even helps us with future predictions of the Skyblock universe as well. However, let's get back on track. Since the Skyblock Islands were once a singular giant landmass, we can safely assume that the main hub island and the deep caverns were connected to each other directly, with the gold mines nearby, although that's not really important. This also means that the dwarves had to have built the Catacombs before the Skyblock Islands split apart. As for motives, there are a few. They could use the Catacombs as an underground base for drilling ores and important materials. The humans of the Skyblock world also use the Catacombs as a mass graveyard. Maybe that could have something to do with it as well. However, we do know that the entire dungeon got abandoned a while ago, and this is probably due to K-Man and Necron. When they escaped to the Catacombs, they could have kicked out or killed all the dwarves that were still in the area, preventing them from re-entering the Catacombs ever again. This could have also scared them from entering the Crystal Hollows, since that's where the Catacombs were originally built, which explains why Jolterian states how the Crystal Hollows were abandoned a long time ago, for being too dangerous. From what we've seen, there is one complete theory that stands out among the others that explains the entire mystery. First off, the dwarves built the Catacombs as a way to store and mine valuable goods. The layout of the rooms were randomized as well, most likely inspired by the ever-changing layout of the Crystal Hollows. After a while, the Skyblock Islands started to split apart, tearing away the Crystal Hollows from the main Skyblock hub. The Catacombs were still attached below the hub mountain. However, a gaping hole remained under the hub where an entrance to the dungeon still existed. After an unspecified amount of time, Necron and Freed came in from the wilderness prison. They escaped to the bottom of the hub and entered the catacombs, sealing the hole and preventing anyone from chasing them. From then on, the normal documented events of the Skyblock universe occur. Now, although this theory is mostly airtight, there still are a few notes left to discuss. Firstly, who was the exact dwarf that came up with the idea of the catacombs? Although it may sound odd, I believe that Mort was the creator, due to the fact that he already has an extensive knowledge of the catacombs, and physically gives out maps of the room layouts of the dungeon. Next up, is there any more evidence that proves the Skyblock Islands were connected? Well, yes. Currently, there's really only the catacombs that prove my claim, but the other dungeons will prove this fact as well when they're released. The jungle dungeon is very similar to the actual jungle found in the Crystal Hollows, and the desert dungeon will probably be connected to the Mushroom Desert. It's interesting to see how these ideas will pan out in the future, but for now it's all speculation. As for the final question, why would the dwarves build the dungeon hub in the first place? I honestly don't have many ideas. Maybe it was just an area where people could travel through the main hub to the Dwarven Mines, going through the jungle or catacombs. But with that being said, I spent a lot of time making this video, so if you could subscribe, that would be really cool. Comment what you think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.